not even that, just touching on it briefly. So I
Mhm.
think what you've created will be incredibly valuable, and it opened my eyes as well because I know about boundaries, and I have listened to podcasts about on boundary episodes and things. But you had a very different take on it, and the way you taught as well was really really good. So I think highly valuable. So well done you. Yeah,
Thank
really
you
good.
so much. Well, I really like hearing that, of course. And I was a little bit nervous because I understood that it was different than what's already out there and can go two ways, right?
Mm.
So, well, thank you for that.
No, I think because the topic of boundaries is already out there, I think your take on it is fine. You don't have to follow everyone else because then you'll get lost in it. So having a
Exactly.
unique take on it is
Mhm.
probably the best idea, definitely.
Okay. If you don't mind, I would love to talk more about that in another session and just get this session to your question
Okay, perfect.
and keep them a little bit separate because
Yeah,
I want to give as much value for this package as I can. And if you don't mind, then
okay.
going for another shorter session to talk about in depth.
Feedback, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So I copy pasted your question, which is I will read it out loud. I would just like to know more about the tools and techniques of how to communicate a boundary to someone. Maybe how to first set a boundary and then how to communicate if the boundary has been broken from a work environment perspective. Okay. I am efficient at my job to the point that I would be given tasks that are not part of my job description and was made feel so much more pressure to perform. Yeah. I would love to know how to push back to my boss and say no. Well, that's brilliant. I think this happens a lot, especially to people who are coming in new into the careers or maybe the first few years and feeling so much pressure from peers who are staying late at work, coming early, doing everything to kiss up to the boss. And um,
Yes, absolutely. It's hard, it's draining. Yeah.
I can imagine. So let me answer this question in general speaking, and then if you would like, you could add a little bit more personal note to it, and we
Yeah,
can go a little bit deeper into it if that feels good for you.
perfect.
So, what this all starts and begins is you being willing to walk away.
Mm,
And you being willing to walk away will set off a certain type of energy
okay.
that is as well magnetic to the other person as being true to yourself. Because it's almost impossible to set a boundary that's being respected and you're not willing to walk away from
Mm,
the situation. Because what happens in the energy is if you are setting a boundary but you're not respecting it yourself,
mm,
then the other person, especially if they are a little bit more experienced with these things, will feel the discrepancy and will try testing you out.
okay.
So unfortunately, this is what you see a lot on the workspace, and especially now that it's a little bit more comfortable to have a job in these situations, in the worldly situations. Managers will also feel that they can ask a little bit more of you without needing to compensate that. So, what I would like for you to think about is one, are you willing to walk away from this position if your boundaries are not being respected?
I suppose in certain situations, like if I'm at my desk and then we're all at our desks and my boss comes over and sort of asks me to do this, that, and that, it's hard to walk away because you're in a work environment. It's not as if you're outside and you have more control over your. I suppose it's for me. It's like having the confidence, I suppose, and the assertiveness to be like, no, you're asking way too much. This isn't in my job description, but it's doing that in a way that isn't rude, and it doesn't make me lose respect
Okay.
from them.
Yeah, I get what you mean. By
Yeah,
walking away, I mean walking away from the position in
yeah,
totality. And that's just because of the level of magnitude you put into your own self-worth.
yeah. Okay,
That's actually where it's connected to.
okay.
But making it a little bit less heavy and going for a simple remark to show your boundary would be asking a question, and asking the question that that keeps you from having to enforce something that you don't feel comfortable with, what the other party will
Yeah,
definitely sense from you. And it's putting the work into the other person's hands, because they either have to come up with the answer or at least
yeah.
think about it, because the brain cannot not answer a question.
Hmm.
So whether this person will tell you the answer or not,
Hmm.
that his or her brain have answered the question, because that's how it goes, right? So we can think of a question that could solve this. So for instance, let's say your manager comes by and asks you to, I don't know, a certain task which is not yours, which is not in your job description. You could maybe ask, excuse me, who normally does this?
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Mm.
And you can make that as sweet and as
Yeah,
vulnerable
tone of
as you.
voice, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because if you are showing that you're looking out, like if you're showing that you are aware of that not being your description,
Yeah,
and
true.
showing that you would like to know whose responsibility it is, um, or you would say, well, I don't mind doing it today, but who does this normally?
Yeah.
And then they will have to either ask you to take the work on,
Okay.
and you have the opportunity to say no to that,
Okay.
um, right? Or they
Perfect.
should stop doing it. So
Yeah.
asking a question is always a really good way to push away something that a person drops on your lap.
Mm.
So is there any other situation at work that you can think of that this happens, that you
Yeah,
need?
it is just pretty much that. It is being given too much work to do,
Mhm.
and even pushing back, they literally say, there is no one else to do it. You have to
Mm.
do it.
Okay, so there are a bunch of other questions that I can think of when something like that happens. You could ask about the level of quality that they are expecting from you,
Mm. Yeah, true.
because you already have like a full-time job, and if you put work on it, it will go from the quality somewhere in
Yeah,
your job, right? You
yeah,
can't have a perfect 100 score if they keep adding to your plate. That's impossible.
yeah.
So having questions like that ready
Love
will
that.
have, it will push them to think about these things, because they are just checking how far your stretch is going to be.
Mm. Yeah. Another example of what they usually say is like when I'm like so super busy, and then they ask, well, what are you doing anyway? What exactly, why are you so busy? What is it that you're busy with? And I'm like, are you joking? In my mind, I'm saying, oh my goodness, how can you not be aware of how busy I am? We're all busy, we're all stretched, and you don't have any clue as to what's going on.
Is it sincere?
I think it's patronizing in a way. It's just like, of course you can do it, and you can do all of this. You're not busy. But it's just constant them saying that, and it yeah, it's just hard to keep on having that same old conversation. Yes, I'm busy. I am so busy. I'm working all the hours, working through my lunch, and you have no idea how busy we are, even though we're telling you we are. Like, not just me, my colleagues as well. And they're not willing to open their eyes and address it. I think they're burying their head in the sand, because it's, if they acknowledge it, then they have to do something about it. And although we're complaining, we're not really getting up and being willing to walk away and actually take the action steps to make them really realize the severity of sort of the stress and the burnout that we're all going through.
Yeah, it sounds like slavery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, modern slavery. Yeah, in a certain way, we are all in that system, of course, because we have our rents or mortgages to pay. There's no flexibility on that side. We need to come up with the money. A lot of us are trying new things to see, whether we become a coach or an entrepreneur on another way, just to try to escape that whole corporate idea. People are getting tired of it, I believe.
I think
This is
so.
what I see all the time.
I definitely think since lockdowns happened and the pandemic, people aren't willing to go back to that normality anymore.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's what made me sort of take this course up. 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Exactly.
stress, it was too much, and yeah, just want to be in control.
Yeah. Set your own times and manage your own agenda calendar. Yeah,
Exactly.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, is there any other? No, let me first think along with you on this remark that they are making, because it's pretty nasty, isn't it? Like, what are
Yeah.
you busy with? Like, what are you doing anyway?
Yeah.
So these people are not empathetic people, I
Not
suppose.
at all. No.
Is Are these like the CEOs or the board or just
No,
managers?
they're men, but they're managers, they're directors, but they're not the owners of the company. It's a huge company.
Yeah,
So I'll give you a background. It's Berkeley Homes, so a residential house builder,
yeah.
quite prestigious, make lovely homes, lovely products. Um, but it was up until recently, it was owned by this one man who came from nothing. He worked his way all the way up to the top, and he recently died last year. But he created it, and he was very misogynistic, racist. He was very, very, really old traditional white English male.
Mm.
And
Around the world.
yeah, and because he was the way he was, everyone, all the board members that filtered down towards the management, were they portrayed the image of him,
Mm,
and so they didn't stand for any crap. There was no HR department at all throughout
mm,
the whole regions. There was nothing. They didn't care about the staff. We're just a number.
mm.
And that's how they sort of treated us, and it's like you said, slave labor.
Yeah.
um
So minimum wage probably, or just
yeah,
above.
so it's just I know I'm never going to change it. And that's obviously why I'm doing coaching, because I want to get out of there, and that is the ideal. um,
Mm.
and obviously we've got the pandemic, so it's not as if I could just quit that job and find a new one just for the short term. It's just not practical, right?
No, 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 no. You will lose a lot of
So
energy
it's
on that.
it's just a case of managing the short term, managing all these little annoyances, and really just being clever with, like you say, the questions that you aren't ask them back when they ask you to do something. And for me, I'm very much a person who needs to prepare these sort of things in my head in advance, because I
Mm.
will come back after something's happened and I'll go in the shower and I'll think all these amazing responses that I could have come up with in the moment. I in the moment when I'm put on the spot, I freeze. I can't say anything. I can't speak. So this is why sort of, I jumped at the chance to do your course so I could just like figure out ways of, right, let's learn a bit more about this. Let's figure out how I'm going to tackle, in advance because I need to be prepared.
You need to. And actually, this could be a really, really good exercise for you. As you don't see yourself growing old in this business
No.
with these men, and you are preparing yourself to be your own boss and become a coach and do your own thing. This is a brilliant way to really exercise your
Yeah.
self-worth when it comes to being put on the spot by other people, and cultivate more self-love and stand in proud
Yeah.
connection with yourself,
Yeah.
even though the bloody queen could, be there. Um, I'm sorry, I just watched the interview, so I guess I
What was
guess
it
I'm
last
still a
night?
little bit cluttered in my mind. Um, Now, it doesn't even matter who you're confronted with. As long as you stand in proud connection with yourself,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter what happens, whether you freeze or not, or
Yeah.
it's
True.
it's the connection with yourself that will build like a sort of natural wall
Yeah.
for these kind of people. Because if you're not taking crap from anybody, they will sense that too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how I want to be able to portray myself.
Yeah.
Not I don't want to portray this image of a pushover, which is what I have been because I've wanted to succeed and I've wanted to be the good girl but
You were
actually,
willing, yes.
yeah.
You were willing, but from a good space. I can totally feel that in you. I can totally feel like how if you were put in a team to have a certain task, I could see you just, doing the long hours and stretching and making it work and
Yeah.
even coaching everybody, to be
Yeah.
in the same direction. So actually you're a gem, but you're not treated as one.
No, 100%. I'm not appreciated. I don't get any praise. It's always constructive criticism. There's never anything good. And then when you do say, why don't you praise us much? Well, you get paid, don't you? That's your reward. Right. Okay. Great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's the mentality of this sort of place,
yeah, it's
the
so
industry, to
masculine.
be honest.
It's a destructive masculine energy, what I
Yes.
hear.
Yes.
And I can really sense you being a feminine woman.
Yeah.
And I can see how that.
My doggy.
Hi, baby.
Puppy.
Hi, baby. I'm sorry, so soon to be distracted when I see a puppy. Oh, look.
Oh my goodness! Oh wow! Puppy. Betty. It's a Betty. No, not out the window.
Yeah.
Here. Oh, that's so cute.
I have a dog on my lap as well.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I will pull him up in a minute. Yeah, I have a disabled Chihuahua and a completely healthy Shih Tzu. So I have
Oh,
two dogs. Yeah, I'm a totally sucker for animals.
yeah, me
So
too.
I can see how this um, toxic masculine energy is really eating you up alive.
Hmm. I mean, it hadn't for many years, but I suppose it's ever since I started this course.
Mm,
That's when it really dawned on me. So it was like I was very much conditioned to just that is how it is
yeah,
until opening my eyes, and I really have done this last sort of 6 months or so. And it's just been like, wow. And I suppose I can't tolerate it anymore.
good for
I've
you.
completely had enough of it. And yeah, it's just shocking.
Good
So
for you.
yeah, that's
Well,
why I'm getting out. But
that's a big step forward. Coming your own conditioning, coming about it, and understanding where it came from and how you don't want it and how it's polluting your system.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else on the work floor?
Um, oh, Pepper, sorry. You are distracting me. Go down. Well, I suppose that's it really. Just the amount of work,
Mm,
the how they don't praise me at all.
mm,
I feel like I'm really working hard and I'm striving. Oh, actually, I I made it very clear when I joined the company 5 years ago that I wanted to work up to become a manager. I was just working as a customer service coordinator, and I wanted to step up. So they did actually give me completely the role of a manager without the title. And they were saying, look, just prove yourself, prove yourself. It's a trial, it's a trial. And this went on for about 2.5 years. And then all of a sudden, a job position opened up in the department. One of the managers was leaving. And my boss actually turned to me and said, I wouldn't apply for that. I was like, why not? You wouldn't want to work on that particular site. That site's really hard work. And I was like, don't you think I could manage it? And he was like, well, no, not that, but just stick with what you're doing at the moment and we'll sort you out. So they got a new lady in. And actually she had less experience and knowledge than what I did. And she was a manager. And then another time, it was sort of someone even lower who was male, but he was a sort of a handyman, a sort of a service engineer who went round and fixing faults. And he decided he wanted to step up. And so, all behind the scenes, none of us was aware of what was going on. And they made him manager from even below what the position I was in. They stepped him up twicefold to be a manager without even consulting any one of us or any one of the girls. So that was twice I was bypassed for a promotion. And I did, I called my direct line manager into the office and I said to him, look, I need to understand why I keep on getting passed over for promotion. You're giving me, I'm doing the role at the moment. So what is it that I am lacking? Tell me so I can improve if that is the case. And all they said was, no, you're just too good at your job in this position right now, looking after that site. We don't want to lose you doing that.
they can promote you. It's adjusting the title and the salary, and that's it.
I know.
So what's the financial gap between what you're doing and
Probably about 15 grand.
yeah. Mm.
So it,
I'm
there's nothing wrong with my efficiency. I was so super efficient, and even the MD told me that himself.
mm,
I'm different from the other girls. I work hard. I'm not just in there just to earn my salary. I am ambitious. I'm different from them. Um, and still, I just was bypassed by my line managers.
this is toxic.
It is, isn't it?
This is maybe how do you say that? A book example, an example from
Mhm.
like a book
Yeah.
of how a good, hardworking lady keeps being who is hold in the same position just because she wouldn't do something about it and they're not afraid of losing you while
Mhm.
you're doing so
Yeah.
good. They have saved about 45,000 pounds in the last 3 years by keeping you in this position. And all they had to do is risk a little bit of losing you, but they know that you're so driven and so ambitious that you probably wouldn't go, and the risk is worth taking over that much money over a cumulated period of time.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I think this is a math game for them, and
Yeah.
I find it so incredibly sour to hear them praise you to stay in that position. You're doing so well, you're so ambitious, you're different from the other girls.
Mhm.
So they know how to pamper you with words just to keep you. in the same
Mm.
position, it's really toxic, Emily.
Yeah.
Because if you were celebrated for your hard work, people will have, you have to understand that your salary is deductible from taxes. You
Mm.
know, what they pay you, it's not really what it costs
No.
them.
Yeah.
So in the end, the 15K is not what it's costing them. It's costing them less. But
Mm.
it is so much more to you. So you would benefit much more from that than it would cost them. So coming from that place,
Mm.
it's really, yeah, the toxic masculine
Mm.
numbers game, analytics over emotions. Actually, there should only be men working there, to be honest.
I think you're right. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you see happening in a lot of these places is a high number of burnout,
Mm.
and it's because the world is getting more feminine. You see a lot more gender neutral babies being born. You see that more women are getting to the top. More sensitivity is allowed in our systems, whether that's school, whether that's jobs. And some banking systems and other big companies are just not designed to move along. And
No.
that's, you will see this gap getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And for you being, well, this is an assumption, but I'm mostly right about it, like an intuitive, empathic person with a high drive and a high skill. I wouldn't even be surprised if you were a Sagittarius, you know,
Oh,
like
Aries.
Aries.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. My husband is an Aries, actually, and my dad, all
Ah,
hardworking people.
yeah.
Anyway, um, Aries, perfect. Um, so you do have, like, you could tap into this masculine side of yourself because you're an Aries, you're a ground
Yeah.
type. Like you could ground yourself really tightly
Yeah.
and firmly and come from a place of authority that's in your nature.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something to develop.
Yeah. I suppose in a way I have by the fact that it's only been recently that I've woken up to
Mm.
how I am being treated, whereas before it was just like, oh, just run of the mill is what it is, da, 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 get on with it. Um, so I definitely feel like I am now sort of embodying both sides of my personality, the masculine and the feminine. And the feminine seems to be kind of at the moment winning, definitely. But the assertive side of me, I'm in at work in a work environment. I'm not very assertive. At home, fine, but in the work, I don't know. It's different. I don't know why I can't bring it forth as much as I could, at home. Maybe it's the
It-
fear of failure, fear of judgment. Not too sure.
well, they are pretty dominant, aren't they? So it's actually pretty natural that you feel intimidated.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of power over you because they decide whether you can stay or go. But in actuality, that's not really the case because you have a lot of rights. So they portray themselves as the dominant bulldog,
Yeah, they do.
but actually they might just be a chihuahua, you know. We don't really know. It depends. Like what does your law say about these things? I know that if I would come here in the Netherlands to um, a lawyer's offer and I would come with this situation, there is definitely room to make a claim.
Mm.
because unwritten agreements are also agreements.
Mm,
And if they are not sticking up to them, well, the um, oh my god, I'm looking for this one word. The chance came and they didn't fulfill it. So the opportunity, that's it. So the opportunity arose twice, but both times they chose not to give you the job.
yeah, yeah,
But you are handling that role, plus they are just
yeah,
dumping a lot of extra work on your plate,
yeah,
while you're not getting paid for that.
yeah.
So that's against our rules in the Netherlands.
Mm, mm. I suppose if it would be contract law in regards to the contract and the job description that I signed up to. Um, yeah, all the job descriptions on that I far exceed. So yeah, but the thing is, they don't have. I mean, I could go to a lawyer, I suppose, but you'd want to sort of try to settle it professionally and in house, and they don't even have a HR department to be able to do that.
I'm not quite sure whether it's more professional to let a third party handle it over yourself.
Mm,
Because if they would have to do something, they would come with their best tools as well.
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with teaming up with somebody who has more knowledge than you
Yeah.
to support you against a whole firm. And okay, they don't have an HR department, but they do have lawyers and they do have contact builders and they do have
Yeah, they do.
all all that they need. Why couldn't you? No, I think it's perfectly professional to come with a lawyer.
Yeah.
But you could also say, hey, I'm getting increasingly more dismotivated by the way that everything is going here. I've been bypassed twice. You're putting all this work on my plate while, I'm serving on a much higher
Mm,
rank than my job description. You're not paying me accordingly. I've put up with this for 3 years. There's no outside to something that you
mm,
are promising. So either you are going to give me that or
mm.
I'm going to take measures in my own hands. And that's really professional,
Yeah, it's
saying,
professional. Yeah, just hearing it from someone else sort of saying it like that, actually, that's perfectly reasonable.
yeah, yeah. And I can also imagine that while they have their foot on you, that's how it feels, right? They are keeping you down with a foot. That you don't come with these things because you're frightened. They are so intimidating and dominant.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Until you wake up to it, and
Making some notes, very good.
yeah, it sounds like a strategy that they are playing.
I think they're playing me, aren't they, really? They're just
Yeah,
using me.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're too good for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
awesome. That's really helpful. Thank you.
good. Yeah, so there we come again. Being willing to walk away is number one when it comes to doing anything with other people, respecting your boundaries. Like, where are your boundaries here?
There isn't. They're walking all over them.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, don't. No, no, it's fine. It'll be fine. Like I say, it's just a temporary thing while I'm sort of learning and studying, and I'm gonna take my coaching forward. So
Definitely, definitely.
yes, at least I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm so sure that you are equipped with everything you need, to make anything pull through. And sometimes you just need to be a little bit tickled and see,
Yeah,
the bigger picture or,
yeah,
yeah. I can imagine that.
Awesome.
I'm just scanning if there's anything that I would like to say on everything that we discussed. I'm seeing if I can link some things to each other. Um, I'm just scanning through your job.
Yeah.
um, no, I just really feel that you are on the right end and in the wrong place. As not in the wrong place, you're always exactly right where you are, but you have so much potential. I just feel your light,
Oh, thank you.
I just feel your uncomplicated energy with so much potential drive behind it.
Mhm.
um, I see you do big things, big things. Where's your moon?
Aquarius.
Ah, big new things. Big new things. So cute. I'm an Aquarius, so I
Are
understand.
you?
I understand that energy. Yeah,
And my rising is Virgo.
Virgo. Yeah, that's balancing everything out.
Yeah.
So this is so funny. My mom is Aquarius and my dad is Aries. I'm an Aquarius and my husband is an Aries.
Oh wow.
And you have it in your moon and your sun.
Yeah.
So funny.
Very funny.
So fun. Well, just to tell you, like if I'm looking in, let's say the possibility in the direction and your energy, I can totally see you fly.
Hope so.
Yeah, I do. I do. And I feel that this situation is here to display the truth between masculine and feminine energy, but also the old and the new,
Yeah.
and also toxic and healthy. So
Yeah.
it's displaying a lot of um, polarization. So I feel like this situation is teaching you polarization,
Yeah.
and it's teaching you
Yeah.
how to put yourself first and stand up for your own rights in the midst of all this polarization happening.
Totally. There's been a lot of that actually.
Yeah. And there's so much value in that,
Yeah.
you know?
Use it to my advantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. How many of us get to learn this with a certain level of awareness firsthand like this? It's a major, major life lesson. What kind of coaching are you planning on doing?
You're you're not gonna believe this, but career empowerment coaching.
That's
Helping people thrive in the 9 to 5.
now I understand why you have to go through this.
Yeah, this it's kind of like all my jobs have led me to experience this so I can help others go through the same thing, you know. So yeah, it's the one thing that's sort of been my nemesis, like my jobs and stuff and how I've coped with them and all the stress and everything. And I'm like, actually, I'm not going to I don't want to chuck all that away. I want to use all of that to help someone else
Yes,
because
that's your baggage.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
if
perfect.
I wasn't doing coaching and I was, I didn't have that light at the end of the tunnel, man, I would need someone like me, what I want to help them with, to just help me. I would have just needed someone to sort of say, look, do all this, do all that, give me all the tools and the coping strategies and the techniques and to be able to sort of turn it around and actually go into work confident, calm, peaceful, assertive, all of the above, everything that I needed or I need right now. Do you know what I mean? Um, so yeah, that's kind of how the direction I'm taking my coaching.
That's really, really interesting. And I think it suits you so well. You have this professional um, stamina. No, 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 no. Wrong word. Sorry. Status. Like
Thank you.
you're vibing a certain professionality,
Awesome.
even though you're sitting in bed with.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, but still, you do have this. How do you say this in English?
Aura?
Glow. Yeah, aura, glow, like status.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh,
I,
brilliant. That's good to
yes.
hear. Yeah, I don't really hear that. So yeah, thank you.
But I can also imagine because you're beautiful, like you have a beautiful face, I can imagine that people portray you differently. I can imagine that especially men try to keep you down.
Mm,
Um, I can also imagine that they are trying to take advantage of you in other ways, trying to ask you out or trying to, flirt with you or making some commands here and there that you don't not really sure of, like how to
yeah.
mean it.
Did have one boss that was encroached my boundaries. So when I did your exercise about the physical boundaries, that
Mm,
brought me back to my not my first job, my first serious job about
mm,
10 years ago. And he would sit next to each other. Our desks were next to each other. But then when we would work on one response email to a customer, say, he would come all the way over and he would like start stroking my arm, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like, "Oh, I'm just having fun, yeah." And he would just be like jokey about it, and and it got to a point where I was just really uncomfortable, and I'd just freeze. So yeah, taken advantage of and not being assertive, not using my voice to communicate how I'm feeling inside has been a struggle for me for a very long time.
yeah, I can sense that because obviously you said it a few times now that I'm trying to increase my awareness on like how dominated you feel
Yeah.
with men. Is that some what came up for me is shadow. So my question is, have you healed that piece of yourself, or have you pushed that away as being not so important, or
Pushed away.
just the way it
Pushed
is?
away 100%.
So here's the thing: free advice, free insight. Let me put it that way, because I'm giving you the theory, and you can do with it whatever you want. So whatever you decide not to feel, or not to process, or not to come back, but push away into your shadow, that will create a wall between you and the outside world. So could be that not being able to voice your emotions at that moment is connected to that trigger,
Mm,
because when the trigger comes and you have a fight or flight response and you freeze, that's connected to another moment in your life where
mm.
you endured something like that and you didn't know what to do and you haven't processed that.
No,
That's
exactly. I haven't.
actually repeating itself, but the same outcome will always be not knowing how to voice the situation.
Yeah. Mm. I mean, I had a great childhood. The only thing was my parents divorced when I was 10 and was kind of only brought up with my mum, really. So I don't know. I was never abused or anything like that. Nothing like that. I was always a quiet kid, though, very introverted. Always sort of kept myself to myself, perfectly happy playing on my own with my games. Um, and I suppose I'm still a little bit like that, like this lockdown for me, not really the end of the world,
No.
So, yeah.
So in your childhood, have you felt that it was better for you not to talk at a certain moment because you were sparing the emotions of other people?
I suppose it's more like I was always told I was wrong, so what's the point talking?
Mhm. I see connection.
Mm, that was at school, really. I went to a private all girls school. Did
Mhm,
not suit me at all. It was fine for my sister, she's a couple of years older,
mhm,
um, but it was too strict.
mm.
And even now, I'm one who longs for freedom. You know,
Yes,
don't
you're Aquarius in your moon.
yeah, I don't like to. I like to be in my own control. I don't like being told what to do by anyone else. I create the rules. But
Perfect.
yeah,
That's
but at school, it was completely the opposite for me, and I did not thrive at all. And that's probably one thing that's made me sort of exacerbated my introvertness when I was younger, and stopped me from voicing, whatever I needed to do, and that sort of stayed with me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let it come out. Do you know how to work your shadow?
Got a few tools from the clique, and I did I got into on what is it, Center of Excellence, where you can do the NLP
Yeah.
courses. I downloaded a shadow work course. I haven't really started that yet, but I did that on purpose, knowing that there is definitely something I need to work on there.
Yeah.
So I will do get around to doing that for sure.
I think it will help you um, lay the puzzle a little bit better. Because what I think that happens is that you are trying to build up on will and not sensing that you're standing stable.
Mm,
Whenever you push down to lift yourself up, you feel like it's getting a little bit unstable under your feet.
yes.
I think that that the shadow work will help you to stabilize the foundation
Yeah.
and really trust yourself because there's nothing wrong with you. You're a beautiful person. You are a high flyer. I can see it. You're an achiever. I can see it. I can sense it in everything. You're well spoken. You're soft. You're like a good person with a brilliant mind. And I think that you have all the right and the capability and everything working for you
Mm.
if you wanted to.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Sure, 100%. Yeah, that's the aim. That's the goal.
that's good. So try to the shadow work. The shadow work is um, you can go about it in two ways. You can either dive into it, lose yourself completely, and not knowing your way out,
Yeah.
or you can go in step by step and checking in with yourself and making sure that you have some sort of guideline for yourself ready.
Yeah.
And they don't teach you that in the
Mm,
shadow course.
mm,
They give you the theory
mm,
and some exercises to do that, but not where to be wary about. Um, the first thing is the relationship with yourself. That's the one and only lifeline you have in any situation. Um, and from there, you can handle anything and everything. And it's a matter of practice to go and voice out your needs.
yeah. Mm-hmm. I need to do that.
So, is there anything else that I can
I
shed
don't
some
think
light
so.
on?
I'm blown away by you, so thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm really curious what that means exactly, of course. So I would love to either if you have time now or we can schedule later.
Can we schedule later? I got my little doggy desperate to go out for a walk.
Of course,
So
of course.
definitely, yeah, let's put it in any other time, really.
I will send you the link and you can choose.
Fantastic.
I blocked the rest of the week out because I need a little bit of rest. I'm a little bit overworked.
Yep, listen to your body. Yep.
Yeah, so I need a little bit of downtime. So I don't have a link for this week.
Next week, yeah, I'm available working from home at the moment, so
Okay, but I would like to make an I can't find my words. Anyway, I would like to make an appointment for this week if you don't mind, so I can use the feedback to
yeah,
record my.
absolutely. I will give you all the feedback you need. No worries. Happy to help.
Okay, what day would be good for you?
I think tomorrow is quite busy because I've
Okay.
got a few work calls and things. Thursday would be fine, and Friday afternoon would be fine.
Okay, let's see. Um, I could do Thursday morning.
Yeah,
That would be 11 o'clock my time, 10 o'clock your time.
yeah, that'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah, is that cool?
Yeah, perfect.
That's perfect. I will put that on 11 my time. I will have like 30 minutes or 45 minutes max because I need to go and see my bookkeeper on Thursday. But thank you so much.
Oh, no worries. Thank you.
It was my pleasure. This is what I live for.
Really helpful.
I'll talk to you another time. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. See
see
you
you in a
Thursday.
couple of days. Bye bye.
And just the same link as you
Yeah,
used
same
today.
link.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All right.
Bye.